Welcome to the REI Agent, a holistic approach to life through real estate. I'm Mattias, an agent and investor.
And I'm Erica, a licensed therapist.
Join us as we interview guests that also strive to live bold and fulfilled lives through business and real estate investing.
Tune in every week for interviews with real estate agents and investors.
Ready to level up?
Let's do it.
Welcome back to the REI Agent. Just Mattias here again. Today we have a guest, Phillip Salem. Phillip is the Bicoastal Baddie, and he works in New York and in LA, pretty far distances. He'll get into that here momentarily. And we talked about a lot of different things, but one of the things that really struck me, and he'll talk about this as well, is just kind of how it's important to be really authentic you, and to, it's okay to be different than what you think the status quo is, what you think that the normal agent should be. We were talking about a Tampa Brie. I mentioned her. I can't remember her name. It's an Instagram person that has hilarious reels that are very, very not necessarily professional, maybe don't play it at work out loud or in front of your kids, but they're really, really funny. And I guarantee you that's working for her. There's going to be people that really think she's hilarious because she is, and that's the strength of hers. And if she tried to make that more PG, if she tried to tone that down and make it more professional, it probably wouldn't be funny, and she probably would not have any traction. But I guarantee you she's getting referrals from just being well known as a really funny person. I mean, wouldn't you want to work with a really funny person? If there was a Louis C.K. or maybe that's a bad example, Dave Chappelle or somebody who's just really funny, that seems like a person that would be fun to be around. So I think all that to say is when you're establishing yourself, I think it really is important to be authentically you. And if that is different, if you lean into it, that can be, a really good thing. Seth Godin talks about the purple cow in a book, and how it's better to stand out sometimes. So yeah, if you have any thoughts about that, definitely put them in the comments in whatever platform you're listening to, or feel free to DM us on Instagram. And while we're at it, don't forget to subscribe, guys. Subscribe to this show on all the different platforms. Leave us a review. It really means a lot to us, and it helps us build our audience even further. So the more subscriptions, comments, interactions, all that stuff, the better. It just really helps. So if this is a gentle reminder that, feel free to do that on all the different platforms that you use. We would really appreciate it. But anyway, without further ado, we have Phillip Salem. Welcome back to the REI Agent. We are here with Phillip Salem. Phillip, thanks so much for joining us today.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I feel honored to be here.
Yeah, no, we're honored to have you. Should we just get right into it and say what your nickname is? What do people call you?
So I have two nicknames. Everybody calls me Agent P, but then I'm also known as the Bicoastal Baddie because I sell real estate in both New York and LA. It's always been a dream of mine to be able to sell on both coasts. So I was like, you know what? I got to do it. And I did it. And, the Bicoastal Baddie, nickname came about, and it's what I've been going with. So it's
now, is this just kind of you joke around with people about, or is this on marketing material?
Oh, this is all over marketing material. I'm also known as not your basic broker. So that was my first hashtag. I've had ads all over the city. So,
okay.
I'm sure we'll get into it, but my first ad that I did with Compass, I was in this pink latex jumpsuit because I really liked pink at the time. And I was like, I want to make a moment out of this pink outfit. And I was like, you know what? What's a good way to do it? So it said hashtag not your basic broker, work with Agent P. And people were walking by this is a real estate agent. And it really caught on. And, that was the best year of my career to that date. So
yeah.
It's all over marketing material.
I'm not trying to call you a purple cow, but the Seth Godin concept kind of comes to mind where you really stick out, right? It's definitely different. So that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, you got to stick out, but yeah. So those are my nicknames.
I love it. Okay, well, so I have an idea as to why maybe you're in both cities, but can you tell me your story about how you got into real estate in general?
Of course. So I never thought I would be a real estate agent, but here I am. I don't know if a lot of people, say I'm going to be a real estate agent when I grow up. I feel like a lot of the agents that I work with, you kind of stumble upon it after a career. Long story short, I owned a clothing store right after college. It was called Owen, which was my middle name. I had a degree in fashion business. My entire career was only working retail fashion styling. When I was 16, I worked at American Eagle in the mall in my hometown of Akron, Ohio.
Ohio, okay.
Akron, Ohio.
Very different than LA and New York. Yeah.
Totally different, but it was a great place to grow up, and I have a lot of great friends there.
Sure.
So, starting 16, working at American Eagle, then owning my own clothing store with a lot of retail jobs mixed in. The clothing store was wonderful. It was right in the meatpacking district. My neighbors were Christian Louboutin, Diane von Furstenberg, Jeffries, Stella McCartney, Alexander McQueen, all these great stores, very successful. But right at the end of 2015, my landlord came to me and was like, hey, we got landmark approval to tear down the building. So we're kicking you out. And when I signed this lease, everyone was like, the meatpacking district will never get built up. It's, you're totally safe in this space. Even my realtor at the time was like, it's going to be impossible for them to get landmark approval. But like everything in real estate, nothing is, confirmed. And so they tore down the building, and I just didn't want to start from scratch again. I was like having this woe is me moment. What am I going to do with my life? All I know is fashion. All I know is the store. My husband was like, Phillip, hey, you remind me a lot of my aunt, who's a real estate agent in Florida. You have the clientele. You've been working with so many amazing people in New York City who also live in LA that shop at your store. Why don't you become a real estate agent? And I was like, all right, I guess I'll be a real estate agent. Did the classes in 6 weeks, and we'll talk about the rest.
Wow. So okay, hold on. Is that a really common thing then, that people live both in LA and New York?
I grew up going to LA a lot. My uncle lived in Los Angeles, so every summer I remember going to visit him. I even remember when I was going, starting college, I was like, should I go to college in LA or New York? And for some reason, New York pulled me more. But my whole slogan in life is, you got to do what makes you happy. And I was like, I need to be in both cities. I'm going to make it work. And I did, and I started marketing in both cities. And I think the Bicoastal Baddie hashtag really caught on with not only my existing clients, but with their network. People would be like, oh, who are you working with? They're like, the Bicoastal Baddie. And they're like, what? And, but it's a lot about forming relationships. I formed a relationship with my mentor in LA. I can't just go from a New York market to an LA market. And it's a totally different everything. Paperwork, contracts, the way you show houses versus apartments, the way that the client reacts to certain things. So I found a great mentor. I got very lucky. His name is Jeffrey Frid. And before I got my license, he really coached me on, how to get my license, all the different terminology, all the different types of inspections that we do in LA. And I started collaborating with him on deals in LA, and we did a very big deal last year. And I'm so grateful for him. I think this business is all about collaboration. You cannot go into this business thinking that you don't need any help, or you're just going to fly with the wind and sell $200 million of real estate. You have to collaborate.
Well, and flying.
I give very long answers. Sorry about that.
Oh no. Well, I'm just thinking through like logistically. So I could see, and we're jumping all around here, but I could see, how maybe you could establish yourself, get a business going in like New York, for example. You're living there.
Yeah.
You're kind of in the grind phase, et cetera, like where you're just kind of doing everything you can to kind of you're going out and showing things for people, maybe in your brokerage where, you know, they don't want to mess with this. I don't know what the low hanging fruit is in New York City. If it's, you know, cheaper apartment rentals or something, I could imagine
Rentals for sure.
Doing everything that you can to kind of get rolling. But how do you do that in 2 markets where you have to fly with the wind, literally?
Yeah. So I'll tell you. So I started New York real estate in 2016. So from 2016 to 2020, I was only doing New York. Okay. So I got my bearings. My first year in real estate, I only did rentals. You know, I went from selling to Alicia Keys and Beyonce, you know, all these clothes and handbags, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna, you know, start renting $1,500 rentals all over the city, running around, working 80 hours a week, dripping sweat, you know, trying to make a buck, you know. But I was like, you have to start over. And again, taking out that ego and really being like, okay, if I want to succeed in this career, I have to start at the bottom. I can't say it enough. So many people think that they're going to get that $10 million listing or $10 million buyer as soon as they get their license. It's just not how it works.
Right.
So I did all these rentals. I built my credibility up, did all my marketing. And then COVID hit and we were stuck in our apartments in freezing cold New York. And I was like, I got to do something. There's something bigger for me out there. So I love New York, but I also love being outside in LA. So I started to get my license in LA, and I had an established business here. I had a great team of people that would help me, show. Yeah. I have a great assistant that does all my paperwork. I have a lot of great help with my Compass colleagues if I need help with the showing, if my assistant is busy. And there have been, so then I flew to LA for the winter, January through March, which is typically a very slow season in New York.
Sure.
And I got my bearings in LA, started getting clients, and it's kind of funny because I got a really big client in March when I was flying back to New York, but I was like, I'm going to make this work. I was flying to LA sometimes for a day. I would land at 10 and leave at 10. So I'd be there for 12 hours. I would do an inspection. I would, go over the inspection. I would come up with solutions, meet contractors, and then I would fly back. Especially if my mentor Jeffrey wasn't able to do it. You can't depend on somebody to do something. It's also your commission and your job. So I'm like, you know what? I chose to do this. I don't mind flying back and forth. And being on a plane is kind of fun because, you have an excuse to just like kind of turn off your phone and relax for a minute. So yeah, flying back and forth for a day means nothing to me.
That's crazy. I'm just, so how do you avoid having commission breath when you're not just paying for the, like the car to drive around, the gas and that kind of stuff in your time, but you're also committing to, how many hours of travel? That's like 8+ hours of travel probably per trip.
Oh no, it's like 11. Get 6 hours there, 5 hours back. In New York, driving to JFK takes 2 hours to get to the airport. It's
a lot
like
more.
A whole day.
Yeah, and then you obviously the expense of the plane ticket and the all that other stuff. So like, does it make you feel more like not commission breath, but like a little bit more like this can't fall apart? Like
this can't fall apart. Yes. But again, I guess my whole mentality is I work very hard. I do the absolute best I can. And if the best I can somehow falls apart, what else can we do? It is what it is. Sure. Yesterday I woke up Sunday morning. I woke up in a great mood. It was Pride in New York City. I'm having brunch with friends. I took the day off work. 8:05, I get a text message that says, I'm so sorry, but the seller is rescinding their offer. They want to continue renting to their tenant. I've been working with this buyer for a year. That deal's done. 8:35, I get a message from my buyer who is about to sign a contract tomorrow. We spoke about it. We don't feel comfortable moving forward. This isn't our dream townhome in Brooklyn. We're not moving forward anymore. So the point I say the story is that there are going to be so many times where a deal is going to fall apart, whether it be in New York or LA. We're doing the best we can, and for me, if I want to be in LA, even if I'm there for 2-3 days trying to sell this home, I'm cultivating relationships there. I have some of the best friends there. So one deal lost, if that deal in LA falls through, another one is going to come because I have such a great network out there. And if I tell myself these intrusive thoughts like, oh my God, that commission's gone. Now I have to, have this commission breath of like trying to sell myself even more. It becomes this fear that people can see. I don't want people to see that, but I tell myself I will be able to get another deal. It's okay if this one falls apart.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. And then that's how, I approach things too. It's just, I guess I'm just trying to wrap my head around
the Bicoastal Baddie.
Having to fly over to show a house or to do an inspection, both, whatever. I mean, it's a whole extra element, but that's awesome. And I'm imagining LA too. Like that's maybe a better follow-up question. Do you have like a minimum, like kind of buy or sale that you'll take on? I know that LA is going to be a lot more expensive than, my town, but to make it all worthwhile. So
I've now been in the business 8 years. I've done everything from a $1,400 rental to a $200,000 co-op in Queens to selling Ariana Grande's apartment for $18 million.
Wow.
So the thing is, I feel like I've kind of built this credibility to say like, hey, I started, my minimum threshold is 1 million. If it's in LA, it's definitely $1 million. I just helped my husband's best friend buy a co-op in Queens for $400,000. Like, obviously I'm going to do that. That's his best friend. I want her to get the best service. But if it's under $1 million, again, you collaborate. You find an eager agent that wants to learn, that's willing to give you a referral fee. And I'm happy to, guide that agent through the processes because somebody helped me do that when I had my first $1 million, $2 million buyer or listing. So, I'm not going to fly to LA for a $2,000 rental. That's going to be a waste of money. But it's the long and the short, it's $1 million. But in New York City, that's like the starting price in Manhattan if you're buying an apartment.
I can't wait to get off. I can't wait to get off this episode and go tell my girls that you sold Glinda's house.
I sold Glinda's house. Glinda. Now she goes by Glinda instead of Glinda.
Sorry, I have been listening to Wicked soundtrack. I had been listening to Wicked soundtrack in the truck every time I drove my kids around for maybe a good solid month before I finally was like, okay, I have to sit down and actually watch this whole movie. And I was fired up after that. It's good.
It's such a good movie. I was sobbing like a baby. It's such a good movie.
Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and she does such an incredible job. I mean, she's an amazing singer anyway, but just sings like an opera singer there too. So anyway, I digress. It's back to real estate. Yeah. So what would you say you're spending? How much time do you think you're spending? Like if you're to do a percentage, so New York sounds like your home base, right? So you're there, 70% of the time. What do you?
Oh yeah. Like I'd say 80% of the time. I'm not like the majority of my business is New York City.
Sure.
Like LA is my, I guess, my side hustle. But I've been very lucky with the deals that I've been able to do in LA.
You mentioned that you were also working with a buyer in LA, but would you definitely take on more sellers? Is it more heavy sellers in LA than just for logistics?
Yeah, sellers are tough. Because I'm typically there January through March. So if a seller's like, we want to list in January, I'm absolutely going to list with my mentor, Jeffrey. He's going to help me with the listing, help me with the showings. But for example, we got a listing in April of this year. I literally just gave it to him, and then I get a referral fee for that.
Sure.
So it's not even just about like selling in LA and making sure that you are there a lot. It's also building that referral business, because I have my license in LA. People know me as a Bicoastal Baddie, but they also understand that I'm in both coasts. So if they're like, hey, Phillip, like, do you have time to take this buyer out? And if it's June and I'm quite busy in New York, I'm going to give it to my mentor, Jeffrey. And I don't think I would have even got that referral fee if people didn't know me as a Bicoastal Baddie, because they have no correlation with me in Los Angeles.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
referrals are such a big thing for real estate agents. And I think it's a untapped, entry that a lot of agents don't use.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. It can really add up. And especially when you're, working with that kind of, volume or that size of deals. I am curious though, if somebody's reaching out and say, we want the best coast or the Bicoast Baddie, do you say, sorry, I'm not available, but you can do One Coast Jeff, or like, what does he have a nickname?
Oh, yeah. I mean, but the thing is, like, people are quite understanding. I always use this example. I'm pretty loyal to my dermatologist. Okay. But if I'm getting, some type of laser treatment and she's not there, I'm very happy to go with her partner or somebody else that's in her dermatology group. I'm not going to be like, oh, you need to come back. Like, I understand people have lives,
right.
So people are quite understanding, because you are the type of real estate agent you are is who you surround yourself with. That be like the people you hang out with, the way that you speak to people. And there are so many types of real estate agents, and I'm not saying that one is better than the other, except when it's like aggressive, rude, and mean.
Yeah.
People know me to not be any of those three things. People know that that Jeff, I call him G. So G, is going to be a reflection of me, and he's the same way. He sends me people, and they know that I'm a reflection of him. Jeff did a big thing with one of the buyers, but I still wanted to be there for the walkthrough and the inspection. So I literally fly out there and I see them. So I'm still showing face.
Yeah.
But I might not be there through the whole process.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I actually spoke to somebody who is living in, I think, what was it? Panama, maybe Panama City, like pretty much full time. And then no, in the country.
Oh, Panama, okay.
Yeah. And he was doing, I think he had a couple of people on the boots on the ground, but he was just actively working his database, calling people, making sure that he had business lined up, and working in San Fran. I mean, that's where he was selling, and that's where his income was coming from, but he wasn't really ever there. So it's just interesting. I think a lot of people feel like boxed in and don't think what they could have or what their life could be like in this career. And I mean, in general, I think people don't do that. So it's really cool to see somebody that is willing to think outside the box and kind of do what seems right or seems fun, exciting. I don't know. Yeah. You fill in the blank there.
I mean, two examples. You look at like the big TV guys, Ryan Serhant, Frederick Eklund. They have their name plastered in multiple cities across not only the United States, but around the globe. Do people think they're going to be working with Frederick Eklund when they, inquire about Eklund Gomes Paris? Like, no, but it's the name recognition. They built this fun brand. His team is full of nice people. They know that the brand Eklund Gomes is going to give you great service. Same with Serhant, Miami, LA, Dallas, all these, like, they're not going to be working with Ryan Serhant, right. But it's the name recognition. To relate it to fashion, you look at something like LVMH, Louis Vuitton one of the biggest companies in the world. They have franchises everywhere. You're not working with the top number one salesperson at every store. Every single store has top selling stylists. So It's like you're basically branding your name, and you're branding your business and your entire approach. I'm looking at the holistic approach to life. Like, you have to exude your approach with your brand, if that makes any sense. Yeah. I'm not trying to be too deep here, but your whole brand ethos is why people work with you. And it's why people will work with you in multiple cities if you build a team around you.
No, that makes sense. I mean, that I could see. I mean, what other parallels do you find from the fashion world and running that kind of, having that, I don't know, boutique kind of experience maybe?
Yes.
To be honest, I have no idea. I think I bought this online. And
yeah. I love it. But there's nothing wrong with that. Like, your passion might be like what's your passion? Like, Like, what do you like to do on your free time? Or, I know you have 3 kids. That's a lot.
I would say probably music and CrossFit, and maybe used to be snowboarding. I haven't done that as much.
So like I'm a pretty fit person and I like working out, but CrossFit, I would die. Like I've been to one and I was like, I don't understand why people put themselves through this misery, you know?
Yeah.
But my thing is fashion, and I like expressing myself through fashion. But to go back to your question about how it relates, my slogan at my store when I opened, and it got picked up by the New York Times, Women's Wear Daily, Elle Magazine. We had all this press around it. I said, everybody that walks into my store is going to be treated like Beyoncé. So people knew, even if they were just walking to my store to just see the architecture and the beautiful clothes and the handbags and the jewelry, they were still treated like Beyoncé, even if they weren't going to buy something. So how that relates to real estate, everybody that I meet is treated like Beyoncé. Because even if that person isn't buying, they might know somebody who is buying or somebody that is selling. And they just met somebody that treated them like Beyoncé. When they're talking to their friend, they're gonna be like, oh my God, Agent P is such a nice person. You got to work with Phillip. You know, so it's like just treating everybody the same, because customer service in retail is the same exact customer service in real estate. You have to give them time, attention, and make them feel and look fabulous. So
I love it.
That's what we do.
Yeah, there's a I don't know if this would quite relate, but there's a brand archetypes that, you know, our brokers went through this whole like kind of discovery process of what we think our archetype is. We kind of explored what the different ones were to kind of, you know, figure out what and it almost sounds like I don't know if it's actually called Disney. What is it called? It's something like that. But Disney's a really good example of it, where it's like all about the experience. And
absolutely,
you try to make this magical experience throughout the whole process. So they're being treated like this ultra celebrity. They're being treated like they're the most important thing in the whole world to you. And so that's kind of been, is that am I understanding that correctly? That's how kind of how you're creating the
I mean, it's absolutely, like, anybody can, you know, I think there are 30,000 real estate agents in New York. They can use anybody, right, but they chose to work with me. So again, treating them like Beyonce is, if I get it, again, we're not like superhuman aliens. People think real estate agents, as soon as you text them, they're going to have to write you back right away. I'm standing outside the apartment door. Can you show me this house? I just passed this apartment in Brooklyn. And can you show me right now? I'm like, it's crazy sometimes that people think that. But to go with experience, you're like, hey, I'm acknowledging your text, or I'm acknowledging your phone call. I'm actually busy showing somebody else, or I decided to take the day off. That's okay to say. I took the day off today. I'm sorry. I'll get back to you tomorrow. Like yesterday, for some reason, was like a text influx of the one day I'm taking off for Pride. And I just literally had a canned response. Hey, I'll take the day off. I'll get back to you tomorrow before noon. Like, that's, and again, going back to my dermatologist, if I was like, I'm having an emergency, I need a facial, like blah, blah, blah. She's like, hey, Phillip, I'm out of town till next week and the office is closed till next week. Okay, I appreciate that. I'll talk to you next week. No big deal. You know,
I think I definitely think more people should, you know, not only apply boundaries, but really think through like what that looks like. And is it are you going to take one day off a week? Are you know, where you're just not going to respond? Or, and if you tell people, if you communicate those expectations, they're going to respect them, and they're not going to go with some other agent just because you decided you want to take Sundays off or whatever the day is. So
yeah, and, you awesome. know, and if they do go with another agent, let them. It's okay.
Right.
Like and again, they might even not work with that agent because that agent didn't respond within an hour. It's okay. Not every client is your client, but
that's a good point.
The majority of my clients, when I say like, hey, I'm actually busy, or hey, I'm at a dinner, or I'm at a wedding out of town, I'll get back to you in 2 days, the response is, enjoy yourself. Let's talk Monday, or enjoy yourself. Let's talk in 3 days.
Exactly.
So it's like, those are the people, they respect you, you respect them. I don't know why this whole mentality of real estate agents being disrespected is is, okay. Like that's
We
not
think
how we should think of ourselves,
Well, yeah, we set it up for ourselves, right? We welcome, we get back to people right away, and we don't establish our boundaries and establish our, it's really on us. I think like you said, most people will respect what you set forth in that regard within reason. And if you're never going to pick up the phone ever, and you're never going to work with them.
Yeah, exactly.
But and to your point, like, why would you want to work with somebody that has no respect for you, that if you have some kind of very, reasonable boundary, that they will go with somebody else?
Yeah. We all work with buyers and sellers. It is the biggest investment purchase of their life usually. And we are guiding them through that, whether they're buying or selling their property, because we are professionals. We do this every day, all day. They are using us to have a great experience, but within that great experience, it's also very nerve-wracking. It's a lot of money at play. They're trusting you to get them that money if you're selling, and they're trusting you to, use their money because if they're buying. So it's a lot of heightened emotions, but you have to go at it with, you will get things done. It's okay if you don't respond within that second. Everybody's going to survive. It's okay. And I have to take that advice, because I'm sure if my husband is watching or listening to this right now, he's like, Phillip, he's always anxious, but we do our best.
Yeah, I know. It's knowing what to do and trying your best to practice it as well. But well, how do you keep yourself balanced? How do you, balance is kind of, I think the best way I've heard it is more of like a pendulum, or if you're a tight rope walker, you're kind of like doing this. How do you work at keeping your mind right?
Of course. So I'm huge into animal advocacy. I volunteer at 2 shelters here in New York City at animal rescues. So I go to the dog shelter. Oh, there's your baby.
This isn't even my dog. This isn't even my dog. This is friends. We're sitting. We have 2 that we usually kennel for this, and I didn't know what to do with Ginny.
They're
Ginny Weasley.
So cute.
It's making.
I love Ginny.
But yeah, so she's wanting to sit on my lap.
So
I guess she just said that. Okay, so you go to.
I'm a dog whisperer. She heard me. So yeah, I like to give back to the community. I volunteer at Animal Haven. It's also quite grounding, because you see, dogs in need. I also volunteer at the Center for the Blind, and I started working at the Center for the Blind because one of my dogs, Coco, went blind, and for 2.5 years, it was a lot of work and a lot of struggles, but she gave me so much. So I was like, she taught me that, I can give back to people more, So yeah, I volunteer a lot. I also love concerts. Concerts are my favorite thing in the world. And speaking about going, flying to California for a day for a show, I will fly to Vegas to see Janet Jackson for the night and then fly back the next day. If she's in her residency and I wake up one day and I'm like, oh my God, I actually have only one appointment today. I can maybe give it to one of my colleagues. I'm going to fly to Vegas, see the show and come back. So it's taking those little moments, being spontaneous and just doing something fun,
Have you been in the Sphere yet?
I looked at the Sphere from my hotel, but I haven't been inside of it yet. I was on a limited time crunch when I was there last, because I just flew to see Janet and then flew back. So next time I go, I'll see it.
I'm a tech nerd. So no, I haven't. I'm a tech nerd, and that seems interesting with all the technology there, the resolution, but also like I think they have like directed speakers that they can like pinpoint people within it.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's wild. So I would love to see. I love music too, and I'd love to see a show. I haven't been able to do it as much with the little kids, but something like, I don't know, Pink Floyd, I think would be amazing if they would ever be there. But
oh yeah, I think the Stones were there. I think the Rolling Stones were there. I think. Don't quote me on that. But anyways, what type of things do you do to relax from work or like balance your life?
So that's a great question. I mean, I think I definitely have to exercise. That's probably the best thing for me to, make me less stressed, to clear my brain a little bit, to make my brain work better. So that's huge for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I think more recently, honestly, I've been kind of trying to build back in things that I used to love, like music. So I've been playing. Actually, my wife got me. I built an electric guitar in high school, and my wife, it never played quite right. It needed to be like, it's complicated to build an instrument.
Yeah.
So, apparently a high school student isn't the, a master craftsman that can do that perfectly. So I got it taken to a, like not a luthier, but like on that kind of level, a guitar place that he was able to kind of adjust things to make it sound right. Nice. And so I've been able to play that a lot, and that's been a ton of fun. Photography was that for me for a little bit. I did photography a lot, did it in real estate, but just kind of enjoyed it in general. Then I've been building in like a ski trip at least once a year now. That's been fun. So
cool. Yeah. To go along with that point, people sometimes forget that real estate agents can also do multiple activities or have multiple talents. Sometimes I see a lot of real estate agents. I live, breathe, sleep, eat, whatever, real estate. It's like, actually, like, I mean, I do it. I'm a professional. I'm very proud of my job. But if you do other things with good intention, like for instance, like you go into the gym, you may meet a client at the gym that wants to buy your stuff. One of my biggest referral networks is the animal shelter, because people see me, and I do a lot of events with the shelter. So I do like something called Agent P's Pool Party every summer, where I set up pools outside the shelter, and I invite all my clients, all my network, blast it on Instagram. Come and wash dogs for the pool, donate $5 and you get a free vegan burger and donut. And and then I have sponsors that do that. So people see me working with dogs. Yeah. I'm doing it with passion. I'm getting clients from it,
Totally. That makes a lot of sense. And I think to add into that, I think like the third place is what Erica's talked about a lot. Is really important to have in general, just for your own like mentality. So that's like, you have your home, you have your work, and then having a third place that's like a community. I think it's really, and you could have multiple. Like I think a lot of people would have that maybe with church. I think we've kind of established that often with like gyms. But that becomes your community. And I think it's nice to have something that's not just, work and home, because a lot of times that involves a lot of logistics and work and stress and all that kind of stuff, to have something where you can, go. And so that sounds like that's for you too. Like that. I mean, you probably know the people at these places really well as well. And it's really cool.
Yeah. You build the community, you build the network. That's what, relating back to real estate, because this is a real estate podcast, but real estate is all about your network. And if you have a passion about it, that's not desperate and, too overbearing. I like going to a dog shelter. I like washing dogs. People say, oh, what's Agent P? Oh, I'm an agent for people and for pups. Do you need a house, or do you need a dog? Which one do you need, and I'll help you with both. So I like that. The three places, is that the holistic approach or one of the factors of that?
Yeah, that's I think one of the things that is important to have if you haven't established a third place. Like if you move to a new area, for example, like establishing a third place, I think is a at least one would be really helpful and really healthy. But I also it's business related too, because I mean I think like yes, like you said, like if you're in one of those places, you're getting referrals from them. Like people are knowing you. That's a new place to network. It's a new place to meet people. And I think third places are if you're starting a new business in a place you have no references, you have no people that you need to find as many third places as you can, because that's where you're going to build.
Exactly.
You go through a gym, like you go to the same time with a big gym class, like every day, you're going to be so tight with the people that are there. And it's going to come up what you do. You don't need to go in there with your business card. But
exactly. And people, as soon as you say real estate, oh my God, did you just hear that? It becomes a topic.
Mm-hmm.
And so like one of my third places, I've been having people come over to my apartment deck on Fridays, and we listen to music. I just bring I say hey, I invite 10, 15 people, bring a friend, I don't care, whatever. It's always like last minute too. I'm like, hey, come, like this. And a lot of time people do come. I have a nice deck, it looks at the water. I provide them with food and drinks, and then we go to a restaurant. It's called Cafeteria, and one of my friends is a DJ there every Friday from 7 to 11. So it doesn't all have to be about like like volunteer work and you know, like working out. It could also be like fun too, like find a community of people, take them to a fun dance place. And sometimes when people are trying to talk to me about real estate and I hear a Mariah Carey song playing, I'm like, hey, let's talk tomorrow, let's just have fun tonight, you know. Like I want to dance to this song.
I should have a karaoke third place. I need to get that built into my routine. Another one around here is like biking's huge. So like there's a really strong biking community, both like street biking and mountain biking. And there's a big like organized community. And if you could just get involved in that kind of thing, that's a great place to meet people.
Exactly.
And if you can correlate the things that also like, you know, if you have like a kind of a higher price gym class you're a member of or whatever, that's usually people that are also able to buy. Right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not going to be people that are, you know, eking by any means. And that just is kind of an added benefit, not the reason to go by any means, but
yeah, of course. And you are who you surround yourself around. I said that earlier on, but even like, I hate, or I don't like to use the word I hate. I don't like when agents discredit themselves and be like, oh, I'll never get that. Or like, I'll never be able to do that. No, right. You will. If you have a different mindset and you start, you know, presenting yourself and having this confidence and learning, people think that like they don't have to learn things. Start going to open houses on Sunday. Start talking to different agents. If there's an open house for a $10 million apartment in Tribeca that's public, go to it. Take videos. Talk to the agent. You know, see how people are reacting in the apartment. See how the agent is acting. And if there's something that you don't like about that agent that's showing the listing, that's also a good way to be like, you know, I don't like the way that they're doing that. I want to make sure that I don't do that. So it's just having this confidence to continue to tell yourself, yes, you will get that. Yes, you are worthy of a great listing, because I know sometimes those intrusive thoughts come into me like,
totally.
They're 30,000. Why is somebody going to work with me? You know, why is somebody going to choose me to sell their place? But it's because you are good at what you do. You have put in your dues. You deserve good things in life. And we do deserve our commission because we work very, very hard for it. We may think it looks easy from the TV shows and, you know, the articles and all this, you know, BS that's out there. But we know what we're doing because we do it every day. And we're good at it because we do it every day. You know, we deserve to get paid because we do it every day.
Yeah. And, you know, I think ultimately, if you're going to go with a brain surgeon, do you want to go with the one that makes it look easy because they've done it a bunch of times, or the one that makes it look really hard? Right.
Exactly. It's so funny when I see, you know, exactly that. I'm trying to think up with the thought because I have so many thoughts, but you're exactly right. People don't see all the behind the scenes.
Yes. And we foresee things to keep it easy. Like we can know what to negotiate at the beginning, what to avoid and all that stuff. So it is just a lot like, working with a doctor who has put in a lot of time. I mean, I won't say it's directly similar. Obviously we didn't go to near as much schooling, but like there's a lot that goes in before the half an hour you visit or whatever you have with your doctor. And that's why they're getting paid so much. And this is, like you said, the biggest thing most people ever buy. And it's a big deal.
Exactly.
And you want a professional that really knows what they're doing and it's worth their money. So,
and get this, there's a dermatologist on every corner here in New York. There's a real estate agent on every sidewalk in New York that's walking by. So you choose to work with that dermatologist or that agent because the work that they already put in behind the scenes. So it kind of all relates.
Yeah, 100%. Phillip, what would you say is a golden nugget you'd want to give to our listeners?
Golden nugget is to go against the grain and be authentic. I just remember when I'll say that again.
I just said purple cow.
Purple cow. Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Yeah.
But it's like, for instance, when I first became a real estate agent, I came from fashion, wearing whatever the hell I wanted, and I thought, I was like, oh God, like, do I have to wear a suit and tie? Like, it's so not me.
Right.
And I told myself that I had to. And, after a few months, I'm like, this is not me. I can't do this. I either have to get out of the business or, take a total curveball and throw everybody off, and go against the grain of what a typical real estate agent looks like, acts like, is like. So being authentic is the most important thing. And it doesn't even have to be about fashion or hair or nails, whatever. Or it could be about, like, if you love sports, talk about sports constantly. If you love roller coasters, do an event at the roller coaster park with clients. If you love dogs, do an event at the dog park. It's being authentic and doing things in a way that show passion and bring you joy, because you want to work with people who also bring you joy and show you passion. So doing things that you like and being authentic is going to draw people to work with you.
Yeah.
It's like when I did the pink latex jumpsuit, people were like, what are you thinking? I'm like, I don't care. I live in Chelsea. I live in an arts district.
Right.
People will see that and be like, I would rather work with Phillip because they look very artistic, and I live next to an art gallery, and I own an art gallery, or I own a fashion business, and I could relate to Phillip on certain things, because in real estate, we are in this relationship with this person for sometimes multiple years. We talk to them every week. We see them every weekend. We talk to them constantly.
You want to like them. Yeah. You want to trust.
You want to like them, and they want to like you.
Yeah. No, totally. Have you seen the girl that's blowing up in Florida? I can't remember her name. She's hilarious. And she's really like off, like she's saying like not professional things, but it's hilarious.
I love it.
She really pulls it off. And I was like, that is that takes courage to put out there, because most people, most brokerages, most places would be like, you cannot do that. That is so unprofessional. And she just is so funny. I mean, she's like one of the funniest people. I've seen a lot of people try to be funny in real estate. Yeah. It hasn't really worked out, but she is like, I want to see every single, thing she puts out. And then at the end, like there's always like something like a tag one of your rich douchebag friends or something like that. Like,
I love it. I love that. Wait, I need to know who this is. Please send me her handle.
I will. And I'll look it up here when I want to ask you about your favorite book next. If you have a fundamental book or one you think that everybody should read.
I put it on my chair. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna get it. 1 second.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So it's not very traditional. And I remember we were kind of laughing before we started filming, because you're like, what's your favorite book? Like, have it ready. And you're like, why are you laughing? But again, very untraditional. My favorite book is The Meaning of Mariah Carey. She's my favorite artist. I love Mariah Carey so much, and again, an amazing businesswoman, the best-selling female artist of all time. But again, she's not just a singer. She's a songwriter. She has perfume. She has makeup. She has liquor. She has lip gloss. She has shoes. Like but it's the same as real estate. Like, we can't be just selling homes our entire life. It's okay to branch out into other things as well. So this book really inspired me. And, she always felt like an outsider, which I always felt like growing in Akron, Ohio. So hearing her stories and, hearing the confidence that she has to become so successful and believe in herself to do what she loved, it's really inspired me. So The Meaning of Mariah Carey.
Yeah, I will say that nobody has mentioned that one yet.
Nobody's mentioned it yet. It's a great book. #1 New York Times bestseller, actually.
Awesome. I love it. The agent I was talking about is her handle is Tampa_Bree. Tampa Bree.
Love it. Cool.
Definitely check her out. She's hilarious. But yeah, and she did not pay me to say that.
I love it. But again, it's like we got to inspire other, agents. I love when other agents are doing videos or doing, innovative things. We wish them success. We want everyone to be successful, rather than this like butting heads industry that people think it's like. It's actually not. We're all pretty collaborative, and we want you to succeed. So. I started this little, if we have 1 more minute, I talk a lot, but I started this thing called Agent Masterminds, where I bring in, 30 agents from all different brokerages every month. And we go to a restaurant And for the first hour, all we do is talk about real estate. We bitch, we moan, we cry, we talk about all these struggles that we're having. And then the last 2 hours, we're drinking, we're dancing, we're having fun. So
Nice.
you want to collaborate, you want to learn with people. I've been in the business, I don't think that long at all, only 8 years. I'm always learning from somebody. I'm always coming up with a new idea from somebody. So the agents that are listening, take ideas, share ideas, lead with a loving heart and wanting people to be successful, because that'll come back to you.
Yeah, no, totally. I love that. That's great. Yeah. That's awesome. So cool that you're doing that.
Yeah.
And then I guess, if anybody is curious about following you or wants to, buy a house in one of the two places you work, how do they
love it.
reach out to you?
So yeah, my email is just my first and last name, Phillip Salem @compass.com, or I also have Agent P at Compass. And then my Instagram is @PhillipOwenSalem. And it's really fun. Lots of fashion, lots of real estate, lots of videos. I hope to see you there.
Yeah, awesome. I'll follow. Phillip, thanks so much for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for letting Ginny also join us.
My baby. She's so cute. I'm so happy she came.
Yeah.
And thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. You guys have done I feel like over 100 episodes. That's something to be very proud of.
Thank you. Yeah,
we guys are doing a great job. Yeah, awesome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you.
Thanks for listening to the REI Agent.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe to catch new shows every week.
Visit reiagent.com for more content.
Until next time, keep building the life you want.
All content in the show is not investment advice or mental health therapy. It is intended for entertainment purposes only.